is the role of sports so important as sports and soccer, and particularly with the Latino community? Why don't we start with you?
Yeah, no. First, great to be here with you guys. I think that, as we all know, soccer is king with this particular audience, with the Hispanic, consumer. It's by far the most popular game within Latin America, with just a few exceptions. It's the most played, viewed, and just the biggest fandom, right? Here in the US, we see that 75% of Hispanic consumers are watching live soccer games on TV. 61% of them are actually watching it with family, right? And from an MLS perspective, we see this special relationship with these fans day in and day out. They represent over a third of our total fan base. And we see some differences, right? So if we look at the Hispanic MLS fan, they're 62% more likely to actually go and attend a match live in person. And then there's also, they're 62% more likely to actually host viewing parties, than the non-Hispanic MLS fans. And then finally, I think there's also this great element of nostalgic, right, with the sports and with Hispanics. I think it's a great cultural connector to their countries of origin, to their roots. And we see it and we tap into that with the league. We have representation from almost every single Hispanic country within our league and our clubs. And we also have a very robust partnership with Liga MX in Mexico, which, if you guys don't know, it's the most watched league in the US. And we're actually launching with them a tournament called Leagues Cup next year, where we're going to bring the entire teams from Liga MX and MLS to have a month-long tournament here in the US, World Cup style. So really huge, really excited for all of these opportunities to use soccer to connect with this consumer.
Yeah, I think to add a little bit to that, from Andres Gonzalez from New York City Football Club, one of the things that for me is social currency, right? Soccer is passion. It is something that we talk about 365 days a year. If you think about this club that was born to represent New York City, 10 years ago, it was just an idea. 8 years ago, we started kicking the ball for the first time. Last year, we won a cup. I run into fans telling me, I'm part of this tribe. I belong here. I'm getting tattoos of your badge. That is part of that connective tissue. The players on the pitch, they represent us. As you touched on, we follow them. They represent us, linking back to our communities where we were born, where we were maybe raised, or the traditions. So it's all of that connective tissue that I think sport has the power to unlock, and soccer in particular for the Hispanic audience.
Well said, Andres. And hello, everybody. Pleasure to be here today. Doubling down on the points that Paco and Andres made, it really comes down to identity and heritage, connection to your heritage. And it is a very unique experience for Hispanics in America. It has a lot of similarities with the passion and the fandom that you see in other countries, but it takes a whole other lens in the US, because soccer and team sports for Latinos, it become a very good answer to a sense of belonging and validating the lessons, the heritage that is coming from what themselves, the parents, their grandparents have been passing on from generations to generations. And that really translates into a level of engagement, a level of fandom that is truly off the charts. I heard Andres say one time that Latinos are the best fans of sports. They truly are, and they love a sport. They are more engaged than anybody else. And you see that in baseball, you see that in soccer, primarily team sports that represent the Hispanic values and that are very good analogies for the life lessons that the parents, the grandparents are passing on.
But just also to make sure that the pasión deportiva, anyone here? Yes, for soccer? Yeah, Latinos? Yeah. But also like the increasing relevance of soccer as an entry point as sports in America. And then you have the World Cup that is going to happen at the end of the year. And guess what? all the eyes are going to be looking at 2026 in America. So can you talk just like a little bit about that, and how do you see that as something that people might not have realized yet?
Yes, oh, for sure. There's so many important numbers that really bring this to light. No? Hispanics represent 19% of the population. They are already 30% of all soccer playing in America. They are 50% plus of the attendance to soccer matches, and there's 65% plus of the viewership. So when you put that together from the lens of a marketeer, an advertiser, it is a phenomenal opportunity to help us reach, with relevant content, big audiences that tend to be underserved through general media. So from that lens, it is important that we find ways to crack how to translate that rich potential into effective brand building. And it's hard because the soccer sport as an advertising product is not necessarily set up for that frequency of communication like other sports do. So you got to be more creative, and that's where content development, storytelling becomes a really interesting angle that can really be brought to life across all mediums, linear, radio, digital, streaming. So we're really interesting about the potential of the sport and what it can mean to really unlock effective brand building.
One of the things I was going to add is that we used to talk, when I started in this industry 20 years ago, we used to talk about the US soccer revolution coming, right? The league was at its nascent stages, and it was this wave that was going to come. Well, it's here. Here in New York City, the New York City DMA, we have 6.5 million people who like soccer, who like our sport. So how do you leverage that, and how do you capitalize on that? How do you become a vehicle for you to engage with that audience? And then the wave that's coming with the next World Cup right around the corner, in a few months, we're going to be focused on the World Cup that's taking place this year. But now, because of being off season, we're going to have 3.5 years to like sprint to the next one. And it's going to be here in our backyard. I'm sure you have a few other things to add to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, I mean, obviously, big passion point, music, soccer, this is amazing for this audience. I think you spoke of the growth and the importance locally. From a national perspective, soccer is the fastest growing sport in the US. It's growing 4 times faster than football. It's growing 8 times faster than baseball and basketball. And we don't think this growth is going to stop. I mean, we talked about the World Cup. Well, if we go back to the last time it was here, 1994, the 4 years leading to that World Cup, the soccer fandom in the US grew by 33%. If we just apply that same growth rate to this next 4 years, and honestly, I believe that's actually being very conservative, right? 32 years ago, MLS wasn't around. There wasn't enough distribution of soccer on broadcast media as we have today. So I think we're going to blow that 33%. But even if we just go 33%, we're talking 140 million soccer fans in the US. I mean, this is total marketplace, right? This is not just Hispanics anymore. This is a big, number of passionate soccer fans that we're going to be able to tap into with this particular passion point.
Particularly when there's what is it, the song of Bad Bunny, everybody wants to be Latino, so like probably that's going to go with soccer as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, you were going to say something about
soccer is cool now.
Yeah.
The point that we're talking about, the wave for soccer, is I want to put also some numbers that we can all relate to. In America, we love our big tentpole events. We love our Super Bowls. The World Cup in North America, US, Canada, Mexico, over those 5-6 weeks is going to be bigger than 25 Super Bowls combined in a small period of time. So if you think about that, we have 3.5 years to get ready and learn and figure out how to engage with these audiences. So the opportunity is really exciting ahead of us.
And do you mind, just like for the audience that might not know what, like the 2026, just describe a little bit more. You started touching about it, about a couple of weeks, a couple of countries, but like what else, and what do you think are best practices that people should start looking at right now, both, like at the team level, league level, or brand level, yeah.
Yeah, you want to go first?
Please.
Yeah, I was just going to say that one is don't wait for the big moment to start engaging. Start engaging the audience now. Build a genuine long-term connection, right, and not just get on the next bus that's going to pass by here. Your opportunity is there today. Let's start long-term conversations. Let's find genuine connections. Also, taking a look at it from a brand perspective, what is it that you're trying to achieve, having that clarity, and then challenge us as rights holders to say, hey, if I just want to sign and I want to put it up and see my logo, that's great. There's many of media outlets that we can achieve that. But what you have in sport is, how do I tap into that passion? How do I get into that fabric and build a genuine program that is authentic to my brand?
I saw that coming, yeah.
So, I don't know if you can get those.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so let's figure out how to do that in a longer term to build those genuine connections for the brands.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's all about that. I mean, you have to be authentic and genuine in the way that you are addressing this consumer. So make sure that you are, tapping into thought leadership and just experts in this field to help you navigate through this. Also, the consistency part, it's totally true. Like, if you're just going to come and do it once and then go out of this, it's not going to work. And this is an actual audience that will reward brands that do it right. They recognize and appreciate brands that connect with this community, and they'll reward them with their business. So it's really important to do it right. And I think the final thing, and this might be obvious to you guys, but from an organizational perspective, make sure that you are, all in, and you have that senior buy-in and leadership buying into these efforts. Just don't do just that check in the box because it's not going to feel genuine for this consumer. We need to make it right, I guess.
And I think that pretty much the theme of today's session is Hispanics and sports, and both of them are under-discovered, particularly in soccer. And so it's really important to understand, okay, so how do I, first of all, understand the relevance of the Latino market, and how do I engage, and how do I use soccer to to use that, and particularly if it's growing as much as you're saying, and it's also growing in both genders. It's not only men, it's women, and it's younger. So pretty much, through content, storytelling, this is a great way to do it. And yet, Latinos are getting smarter as well onto where to go to and how to actually, what brands to engage, and those brands that care about them, that care about our growth, that care about our future, will be the ones that win, because as we know, the one thing that unifies all Latinos is not language, is not country of origin, is not religious or political orientation. It's our desire to progress. Mm-hmm. So we will favor those brands and those efforts that are helping us in our journey to progress. So let's talk about that engagement to the communities and how is relevant in marketing efforts to have that leg of impact. Who would like to start?
I can get us going on this one. The opportunity we have in front of us is one where, while we're anchored on entertainment and putting a light on the Hispanic culture, elevating the Hispanic culture, we get past that and take it into how can we support achievement and advancement of Hispanic community through their engagement in the sport that they love. And that starts becoming a really interesting conversation that opens the door to really resonate with communities. You can go to the communities with a conversation through the ecosystem of soccer, where you present a set of capabilities and tools that help channel all of that fandom, all of that excitement for the sport, and help them recognize that staying in the sport, staying connected to the sport, is going to open the doors to opportunities. Similar to how we see baseball, NFL, NBA, with other ethnic groups that become a gate to progress, but done differently. In this case, through ongoing engagement, persistent engagement that is supporting the community, and through that engagement, opening access to opportunities to the many, not the few and the privileged. So that's an area that we are spending a lot of time with the clubs, with the league, figuring out how to tackle it structurally.
Yeah, at the club, we talk a lot about what is it that New York City Football Club stands for. What is it that we're built for? So yes, we have a product, which is to win championship on the pitch, to play the sport at its highest level. But we talk about serving a higher purpose of empowering better lives through soccer. So that is what the club, front and center across the entire organization, is built to do. Not only win off the pitch, but also serve the city whose badge we wear. When partners like Procter & Gamble and brands like Gillette, Always, Oral-B and Crest come to us and say, look, we've got this thing we want to achieve. There's great value alignment and long-term vision that we say, wow, we're all in. How do we roll up our sleeves and figure out how to drive this purpose forward as part of our relationship?
Yeah. It's, I think we share the same lens, I guess. From a league perspective, we're also, community is one of our main pillars. So everything that we do is driven by and with the focus of community. And obviously we connect with our clubs. They are the experts in each of those communities, and they, bring some of those key insights on how we can help them, better advance with those communities. And this kind of led to our Capitanes Del Futuro program, which I know you're going to set up, but it was a perfect fit for us, and we're going to elaborate on why we felt it was just such a great platform for us to get involved with.
And I just want to check if anyone has a question, a desire, like a feedback, just like signal, so that we can open it up a little bit. But I do think it is very important to note and to make sure that we're adding on to, like the experience and the learning of this panel, which is Hispanics are growth. There's absolutely no way that you can grow your business in any industry in America without tapping and genuinely connecting with Latinos in America. Number two, a great way to do it, you have to do it genuinely, and a great way to do it is through sports, music, and and others entertainment. And within sports, the fastest growing segment is soccer. So we're talking about that. But the other piece is, do not forget that Latinos are super tired of an hola campaign amigo that, you think that you can do marketing with us by putting us on Google Translate. No way. We want to see more genuine engagement with us, but also more genuine investment in our community. So I think that what you're all talking about is like, watch out. It's not only about understanding the market and understanding the channel, it's to doing it in a genuine way that helps the Latinos advance. And so in this effort, I've been a marketer and a brand builder my entire life. And I've been privileged to be able to be in the, setting up global frameworks like the Sustainable Development Goals and putting the ring so that it can become something that people say, when I see that, I see that I'm a good person, I'm doing my piece for the planet. Or Product Red, where you're able to choose between one phone or another to buy an Apple phone Red that is going to help someone in the world. And when I moved to America 8 years ago, I was like, one, who is doing the marketing for Latinos that is putting us as someone we're not? So whomever is actually doing the marketing for us is hiding our attributes and presenting us as someone we're not, because we're hard workers, we're aspirational, we're optimistic, and we're presented as negative takers. And it's time to move from invisible to visible, from negative to positive, and from takers to makers. But there's no instrument out there in the market for you to say as a brand, I care about you. There's no instrument, there's no brand for us as Latinos to unify and to stop the little, I'm Mexican, I'm Venezuelan, I don't talk to Colombians, and all this fragmentation that we have. So we launched a couple of years ago a brand called the Hispanic Star, that it is actually the T-shirt of Hero, so that we can have a symbol to unify us all, understanding that Latinos are 100% Latinos, but also 100% Americans. Taking the star from the American flag and the ñ from Espanol or Portuguese, boom, you put us there and tag. You can say, like, this is what is good for Hispanics is good for America. And we are, an America's made of stars, and we're one of them. And I think that through this brand, I've seen corporations and brand really taking on fire. There's more than 300 companies that are involved in the Hispanic Promise, in the Hispanic Star, demonstrating the market opportunity. Everybody's smelling the coffee. Now, I think that there's instruments, there's desire, people are moving forward, Latinos are more echados pa'lante than ever. So we need programs to make this a reality. And I think that what unifies us all is that we believe that Latinos deserve the same equal opportunities than others to progress. And that is the origin of Capitanes del Futuro.
So thank you for that setup. So I think the most important thing here is, in order to have meaningful impact, you need to realize that this is not going to be something you can do alone. That you got to bring the right partners that have a shared winning aspiration. An aspiration of helping advance Hispanic communities in America, because they're convinced, they believe that the progress of Hispanics is good for the country. And as you understand that, you immediately realize that in order for Hispanics to progress, you really need to solve the systemic barriers that are in front of Latino youth. And fundamentally, that is a education barrier, that is access to opportunities barriers. It all translates into Latinos end up not landing high or higher paying jobs that are meaningful to them. And we believe that the soccer ecosystem, the passion that Latinos have consuming content, spending time in soccer, was a perfect environment to go tackle this program at scale. That's where we joined forces with We're All Human and the Hispanic Star. We felt that there was a perfect platform to bring thought leadership, frameworks, and allies to work at this together. And we reached out to the soccer ecosystem with an idea that was focused on how can we find in local communities boys and girls of Hispanic heritage that have the potential to be leaders and give them access to all the opportunities they need to be successful. Starting with appreciating the fundamental learning that we all have once we get into corporate America. Our Latino values are a great blueprint to be successful in this country. The lessons that our parents are giving us are a fantastic blueprint, that it's underappreciated. We give them the confidence to understand them early on. They understand the power of being persistent, resilient, kind, team-oriented, courageous. And those things are going to carry very well into the corporate world or the entrepreneurship world. But they are brought to life better than in soccer, better than nowhere else. So we connect those lessons to the stories and the communication of the players of the teams to land the concepts and then build from there. Build from there with the opportunity to give them hands-on experience. They can experience careers associated to the sport they love firsthand. And then they can choose with eyes wide open how to go about those careers. And lastly, we open the door to higher education through scholarships and support. Putting all that together is a massive undertaking, takes persistency, but that is the type of program that is getting us all excited.
Yeah. I think one of the aha moments that Jero and the team brought is that this is kids, right, that they dream to play soccer professionally, but very few of them are going to actually get to that level, right? But for every player on the field, there's more than 10 or more jobs that are surrounding this, right? So this makes a lot of sense for us. And what we did and with the clubs, and we found those role models within our organizations, executive staff, of Hispanic descent that would allow these kids to learn more about what they do for soccer, operations, marketing and communications, medical staff, just to open them to other possibilities. To us, the end goal is that we inspire these kids to go into school, to study in these fields, to then build a very robust pipeline of talent, Hispanic and Latino talent, right, that then we can go and hire from.
Yes, please.
Can we talk quickly? Because I think it's super interesting. You guys are getting to all the questions before I get to ask specifics for that. I'm not a sports fan, right? But I am Hispanic, right? And I can see the connection of the success of soccer.
Wait a second so that we can get the, here's a little mic. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not a sports fan, but I can definitely see the association between the story of the rise in football and its interest and appeal to the Hispanic community and how it kind of represents the growth of the Hispanic community in the country. But there's a very appealing idea of the opportunities that you just said, 'cause that's a question I had written down. Like, what opportunities are available and sort of like leadership kind of potential to the non-athletic community, and like how are you making that connection essentially to people who aren't really in the sports world?
Yeah, what I can kind of give the example of what we executed recently, just a few weeks ago. Yep. It's just the first step because we're targeting young kids, right? So 12 to 18-year-olds. The first thing is to show them that there's a world beyond the pitch that makes all these companies, these brands that they're familiar with, the football club on the pitch, there are all these people that make it all happen. So we brought a group of about 40 kids from in partnership with Hispanic Star into the stadium, and we walked prior to the match, and there was Tomas, who's our IT person that runs all the electronics, and he gave them a little talk, went to talk to our communications team. Esteban is there. Lina from my partnerships team is there working with all the sponsors of the club. So it just opens the eyes that there are other things other than kicking the ball on the pitch. The second thing is we then did an immersion session the following day, and we brought kids that we've trained from across the 5 boroughs. We call them young leaders. They work with us to be active in the community, teach them life skills. And then instead of me as a 40-something, we'll leave it at 40-something, talking at these young kids, it's their peers having conversations about some of these general life skills. And it's just those building blocks that then, together with some of the other things that Hedo was talking about, starts to open pathways and open your eyes to say, wow, there's a door that could be open for me as a different career path that I should think about.
Very well said. And a couple of things also to keep in mind. One, we are looking at making these lessons that have an element that is in the physical world with the teams, offline events, available for free online. So there's a platform that you can sign up, the kids can sign up, their guardians can sign up, their parents can sign up on their behalf, called capitanesdelfuturo.org, and that's where you see all of these lessons captured in bite size in the form that the kids appreciate.
Right.
And then number 2 is we are very intentional about the right partners who are going to be at the forefront of this massive soccer wave that's being brought into the States in preparation for the World Cup. Francisco talked about the Leagues Cup. The Leagues Cup is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime competition. You're talking about all the teams from Liga Mexico playing against all of the teams in the MLS as a World Cup format in 5-6 weeks. There's simply no staffing, no vendors ready to cater to all of these Mexican fans. That is going to be a great opportunity for jobs, not just for the kids in the program, which for sure we're going to enable, but for the communities. And we are very intentional about improving representation, not just on the creative and content storytelling side, but also on the event marketing, planning, and preparation. So their jobs are there to be had. We want to make sure that we are intentional about creating these opportunities.
And I think that we have another question, if you don't mind. And just have to say, I like working in a number of organizations my entire life. This is the dream come true for a non-for-profit, working with marketers and brands and teams and so on. And Procter & Gamble has been an incredible partner of World Human and Hispanic Star. So this is going to be transformative for our community.
Hi, excuse me. Love what you're doing. Chris Pace. I actually started as a volunteer at '94 World Cup. So.
Great.
Not 40s in my 50s,
Wow.
right? So, but to bring things full circle, I'm actually in the interview process to be the head of New York, New Jersey for the World Cup in 26. And I can see working with all 4 of you in bringing a program. One of the things that made 94 happen, and at that time it was I believe the most well-attended, most tickets, was that it worked because of volunteers, exactly. Right? And if you put on events, running events, you know that the backbone is volunteers. Mm-hmm. And that's often the entry point to a career in events, yep. is just to shake hands, to show yourself. So even what you're saying in regards to being athletic or not, I'm not Hispanic, but I'm a soccer
well,
fan.
You want to be? No.
Yeah, right. So, the thing about it is, though, I would love to see a program where your football club gets behind having a volunteer base, because that brings, represents your brand as well. One of the things that didn't happen in '94 was that MLS was just beginning, right. And there was a real opportunity to explode then. And it didn't actually happen as it should have. Yeah. And
it actually began 2 years after the World Cup.
Correct. Yeah. And that was one of the things, is that so what I'd love to do is follow a conversation. And my thing is, if you want to get the viewership, I was at a panel before with Telemundo, right? Yeah. And they were talking about just how much of the audience is going to be, the Latin community. Well, I'd love to mirror that as the people at the event, if in fact I'm at that position. So I'd love to follow up with with you guys.
Thank you for the comment. I know that on the back they're doing this, but I also know that this is the last session, so bear with us just like on the final words from our panel, and if there's any comment back. Final message, key takeaways, what do you want everybody to know? Final, final remarks, and if any response to Chris.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just, soccer is going to be huge. It's a huge passion point. To address this point, don't wait until the World Cup is here. Try to get early. And soccer is very broad. There's, multiple ways to engage with soccer, professional, grassroots. So it's just make sure that you're looking at this, take advantage of this. It's going to resonate very high with this consumer fan base. And I think it's going to do wonders for the brands that you guys represent.
I was going to, first of all, we should talk. And then I was going to start with saying, not only start with soccer, but just start with the Hispanic audience, right? One of the things that we've talked about before is the average age of the U.S. Hispanic is 19 years old. If you want your business case of why you should invest today, it's right there. They're the consumer of the future, and this continues to grow exponentially. So soccer is just one passion point that you can tap into, and then build that genuine connection and build that genuine program. So I'll leave it at that.
And for me, just reinforcing the core belief, Hispanic progress is good for America. And this World Cup, these next 4 years, are a phenomenal opportunity, once in a lifetime opportunity to make an impact that brings so many families into a trajectory of achievement and progress. We are very intentional about creating the partnership that creates that environment to bring this potential to bear, and are inviting everyone to join. So thank you, Real Human, thank you, Hispanic Star, for being such a great partner, and we're just getting started.
Yes, and again, I think that the final is thank you Advertising Week for having a couple of Hispanic sessions. Next year, I hope that we double the way that the Hispanic population is doubling, and that all of us understand that America's made of stars. Hispanics are one of them, and as Jero and everybody said, Hispanic progress is American progress. Thank you for being here. Please join me in thanking this incredible panel, Francisco, Andres, and Jerónimo Escudero. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.